Good morning, all. This is Sheba. Now, let us discuss about the electronic devices. In the intro class itself, we have detailedly discussed about what is meant by these electronic devices. What are all the electronic devices available in the real-time life? How it is useful for our daily activities. What are all the applications in each and every field of these electronic devices? So now we are going to see about the unit 1 of this electronic devices, semiconductor diode. Based on the syllabus given, they will be covering 5 major topics in this electronic devices: semiconductor diode, bipolar junction transistors, field effect transistors, special semiconductor devices, power devices, and display devices. So, we will be discussing about all these 5 topics in the upcoming sessions. First, now we are going to discuss about Unit 1 Semiconductor Diode. Before moving into the topic, here I have mentioned the available textbook and references for your further clarification of the topics. I have also suggested the NPTEL lecture materials reference videos for easy understanding of the topics. So now moving to the Unit 1 Semiconductor Diode. This semiconductor diode, in this entire unit, we are going to discuss about the few major topics which are listed out here. First one is the PN junction diode, followed by its current equations, diffusion and drift current densities, energy band diagram, forward and reverse bias characteristics, transition and diffusion capacitance, switching characteristics, breakdown in PN junction diodes. These are all the topics we are going to discuss in the upcoming sessions. Now, moving to the first topic of semiconductor diode. So, this entire unit will be covering the PN junction diode and its characteristics. First, before going to know about the PN junction diode, let us get a few knowledge of what is the fact behind the materials we are using in the PN junction diode. It is nothing but a semiconductor. I am mentioning what semiconductor, but what does this semiconductor really mean? A semiconductor is a substance that has a resistivity between a conductor and an insulator. We will be heard about these terms conductor and insulators a lot of means in the physics. Based on the conductivity of the material, it will be designated either as conductor or insulator. But the semiconductor has a character lying between these two materials. The resistivity of semiconductor decreases when its temperature increases. Here I have depicted that in the diagram, how the electrical resistance changes in semiconductor, conductor and insulator. These are all the materials majorly used in semiconductors: silicon, germanium, selenium, gallium arsenide, GaAs. And these are all the materials available for conductors: gold, silver, copper, iron, aluminium. For insulators, we'll be using glass, rubber, oil, plastic, diamond, etc. So what does this semiconductor really mean? It is nothing but it has a character lying between the conductor and insulator based on the energy band. Energy band is nothing but the band that occurs between the valence band and conduction band of the material. You can see clearly in this diagram that is in conductor almost full conduction band is covered with the valence band. Whereas in insulator there exists a large band gap between the two bands. And in semiconductor almost empty conduction band whereas almost full valence band with a little energy band gap between both of them. So this is the band gap property of the semiconductor compared to both conductor and insulator. And you can see how the energy band occurs when a heat is or when a stimulation is given to the material, how holes and electrons get separated, how band gap is created between the valence band and conduction band. Moving to the types of semiconductor devices. These are all the major devices used in our daily life, which we will be knowing now. They are semiconductors. First one is the resistor, capacitor, diodes, transistors, op-amp, operational amplifiers, ICs, integrated chips. These are all the semiconductor devices we are using in our daily life. And this is the semiconductor diagrammatic representation and what the semiconductor mean. It has an electrical conductivity to a degree between metal and an insulator. Its conductivity for silicon is 15 to 10 power 3 ohm centimeter and for germanium 50 ohm centimeter. Semiconductors are foundation of modern electronics, including the materials like transistors, solar cells, LEDs, light emitting diodes, quantum dots, digital and analog integrated circuits. What is this semiconductor really made of? It is mainly made of either silicon or germanium, and you can see the properties of silicon and germanium in this diagram. If you take for example silicon, it has 14 protons, 14 neutrons and 14 electrons. It's in a balanced condition. So it is mainly preferred for semiconductors. And it withstands the heat also, so that it can be applied in many large scale applications. Moving to the classification of semiconductor. Semiconductors are majorly classified into two categories, intrinsic and extrinsic semiconductor. Intrinsic semiconductor is nothing but it's a pure form of semiconductor without doping. What is meant by this doping? It is nothing but the process of adding impurities to the material for changing the conductivity or electrical property or resistivity of the material. And extrinsic semiconductor is nothing but, as I have mentioned, it is the semiconductor with some impurities, N-type and P-type. N-type is the pentavalent impurity and P-type is the adding process of trivalent impurity. You can see the detailed explanation of what is meant by this intrinsic and extrinsic semiconductor now. Intrinsic semiconductor, it is a pure form of semiconductor. The concentration of electrons in the conduction band is always equal to the concentration of holes in the valence band. And the conductivity here is poor since there is no doping. It is in a pure form. For example, pure silicon, pure germanium. You can see clearly in this diagram, the conductivity is very simple, very poor due to the pure form without any doping. This is the clear depiction of intrinsic semiconductor. You can see the free electron and holes stand then and there without any changes. So moving to the extrinsic semiconductor, I'm sure now you know what is the purpose of going to extrinsic semiconductor? To increase the conductivity of the material. Yes, for increasing the conductivity, we are adding impurities to the material, which is said to be doping. I'm sure you all know what is the property of gold. A pure gold is not a valid one. there will be a small amount of copper we will be adding to the gold to make it as a good material. Yes, that is the same process in the semiconductor also. We are adding impurities to the material to make the conductivity as a better one. This process of adding these impurities to the material is known as doping. 1 or 2 atoms of impurities for 10 power 6 intrinsic atoms. This is the ratio of mixing in doping. And since we dope the semiconductor, here electron concentration will not be equal to the hole concentration. And carrier will predominate in an extrinsic semiconductor. So this extrinsic semiconductor are of two categories, N-type and P-type semiconductors. So this N-type semiconductor is nothing but a small amount of pentavalent impurities adding to the original material. It denotes one extra electron for conduction, and so it is said to be a donor impurity. Positive charged ions. Here, electron concentration will be always greater than the hole concentration. And the most commonly used dopants, that is the impurity for adding, most commonly used impurities are arsenic, antimony and phosphorus. Moving to the P-type semiconductor, a small amount of trivalent impurity is added. It accepts the free electrons in the place of hole, so that it is called acceptor impurity or acceptors. It is negatively charged ions, and here the hole concentration is always greater than electron concentration. Most commonly used dopants here are aluminium, boron and gallium. Moving to the law which is mainly used in this semiconductor, Mohs action law. Under thermal equilibrium condition, the product of the free electron concentration and free hole concentration is always equal to the square of intrinsic carrier concentration, which is explained by the formula N into P is equal to Ni square. Here Ni refers the intrinsic carrier concentration and N refers to free electron concentration, P refers to free hole concentration. Moving to the next parameter we are going to see in the semiconductor, electrical neutrality. Here electrical neutrality is found by two parameters, positive charge density and negative charge density. Total positive charge density is always equal to total negative charge density. Therefore, P plus N subscript T is equal to N plus N subscript A. P refers to the hole concentration, N refers to the electron concentration, Nd refers to concentration of donor ions and Na refers to concentration of acceptor ions. Moving to the next parameter, charge density in semiconductor. Charge density is found by using the Mohs action law. Np Pp is equal to Ni square for P-type material and Nn Pn is equal to Ni square for N-type material. So from that, Np value is found out as Ni square divided by Na and Pn is equal to Ni square divided by Nd. This is the charge density in semiconductor. Moving to the third major parameter, conductivity of semiconductor. The conductivity of semiconductor sigma is found by Qp mu p plus Qn mu n. Q is nothing but the electric charge. Mu E is the electron mobility and mu H is the electron hole mobility. N is the intrinsic carrier density. So you can separate it for intrinsic conductors as well as extrinsic conductor. For extrinsic conductor we have two categories, P-type and N-type. Moving to the example for P-type conductivity, here you can see what is the conductivity of silicon containing 3.313 into 10 power 21 boron dopant atoms per m cube. Silicon has electron mobility of 0.14 m square divided by V minus S and hole mobility of 0.05 m square divided by V minus S. So you can write the formula and you can directly substitute the value since it is given directly. And we will be multiplying to get the value sigma. Here Q value is not given, but we know the value of current density 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb. So we are substituting that value here. So sigma is equal to 25.04 ohm meter power minus 1. And moving to the another example for n-type conductivity, similarly we substitute the same formula for n-type material formula you are taking and substituting the values. You are finding the value of sigma as 70.11 ohm meter power minus 1. So moving to the advantages of semiconductor. Yes, semiconductor is more rugged than vacuum tubes, so it can withstand any environment conditions. It operates with very high voltages, so it can withstand power fluctuations also. It can be integrated circuits which replace multiple circuits. Of course, this reduces the area of the device. Smaller size, less weight, and less expensive. Due to this major advantages, this is chosen in many real-time applications. And of course, any product has its advantages and it has its own disadvantages too. Moving to the disadvantages part of semiconductor, they do not like sudden changes in temperature. Yes, if there is very high temperature, as I have mentioned earlier, heat can change the dopant concentration, can change the valence band and conduction band concentration. So of course it changes the basic character of the material, which results in abnormal changes. They do not like high heat. The same thing, temperature increase can causes heat in the material also. Can be made to work in this condition but need additional components. Yes, to withstand heat and temperature, you need to use some temperature withstanding components or heat withstanding sensors or components in order to compensate for that unwanted changes. Must not subject to voltage extremes. Yes, voltage, it accepts different value of voltages, but extreme voltages must be avoided. It must be in the tolerable value, not useful in high power, ultra high radio frequencies. Yes, it must be within its tolerable working limit, then only it can withstand for large duration. Moving to the application part of semiconductors, it is nothing but it is involved in our daily life. You can see here any devices starting from mobile phones, PC, digital cameras, network cameras, television, medical care equipments like MRI, personal computers, smartphones, automobiles, that is smart cars or electronic cars, everything has this semiconductor inbuilt within it, and thus the semiconductor play a vital role in our daily life. This is about the semiconductors introduction part. Hope you all have understood the concepts clearly. We shall discuss about the application of semiconductor in real-time life in the form of devices like diodes, transistors in the upcoming section. Thank you.